morning, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses. Andy Serling in the clubhouse studio, soon to be joined by my partner and good friend, Anthony Stabile. Talk about today's terrific 10-race card, an absolutely sensational 10-race card here at Aqueduct. There is no Breeders' Cup hangover. Anthony and I will touch on the Breeders' Cup races yesterday, and at the end, we have a little extra time. We'll talk a little more about it, but we've got a lot to talk about and get through on today's 10-race card, and the best way for you to play this card, every day, any day, all racetracks, to play them through NYRA Bets, 100% deposit match, up to $200. Put in your deposit, bet it, get that deposit match back. New members only. The promo code is Big A. What a segue that is. You have been honored with a promo code. I mean, I've never had a how many people get a promo code named after them? There he is, the Big A. The Big A right next to me. So yesterday's Breeders' Cup, when they take that promo off, which Justin wants to leave up for ad infinitum, he didn't set the shot up. Jose would never have let that happen, ever. Would let that happen. Anyhow, so Vino Rosso. You know, I'm not big on the old, and a lot of people disagree with me, and that's fine. It's horse racing. People disagree. Horses for courses things. That Vino Rosso, he's a good horse on other tracks. He likes Santa Anita. And I'll tell you something. It's funny about it because it went full circle with you. I was thinking about this. You loved him at the beginning of the year.
I did.
You completely got off him. I got off him after I picked him to Whitney, and he ran his last bad race. And I thought he was sensational. I thought he really put a capper to the day.
Great
Todd
effort,
Pletcher did a great job. This was a horse that, as a 3-year-old, I know he won the Wood Memorial. And by the way, the Wood Memorial produced a classic winner. So we don't have to beat up on the Wood Memorial as much anymore from the know-nothings. But Todd Pletcher did a great job with this horse.
Fantastic job. I thought it was a real classy move to dedicate the race to the late great Jim Krupe when it was over with by the connections. I'll tell you what, he's the kind of horse where yesterday, you know, I was kind of on the fence about him. When he walked out onto the racetrack, he looked like King Kong yesterday afternoon. And it's a great example. Guys like you and me play pick fours, pick fives, pick threes. You're not going to be able to see that. But when he walked on the racetrack yesterday,
on the turn, I saw him moving the turn. I said, this race is over. And I thought Mackenzie ran very well in there. He just wasn't good enough to beat Mackenzie. And I think one of the nice things, and you could go throughout the day, and I'm not looking in any way to dismiss anybody else, but Mike Dubb, who had a big weekend involved with Rooney as well, and of course had the win on Friday's card. But also to see Mike Rapoli and Vinny Viola, two great supporters of the game, great supporters of what goes on in New York racing, and the prior race, a horse that you and I are big fans of, Bricks and Mortar, winning and very likely becoming Horse of the Year, and Seth Klarman, who is a huge supporter of what we do in New York and racing here. And you see three guys who have given a lot to the game here and supporting the game, and to see them have those big wins. And they were the biggest wins, I think, in any of their careers. And Vinny's had some big ones with Williams Map as well.
And he won the Kentucky Derby, of course, with Always Dreaming. But yes, when you see three guys, and let's be honest here, full disclosure, they put their money in the sales ring, they buy horses, and they bet. Yeah. They put their money into the game in every possible, conceivable way. You root for people like that. A phenomenal weekend for Gerard Ortiz Jr.
Amazing. What a day. And he's riding in the first race here today. I love that. I'm riding the subway out this morning, and I start looking, and I'm seeing, you look at the first race, you got Manny Franco got his first Breeders' Cup win. Luis Saez is back. Jose Ortiz had the win Friday, the Breeders' Cup. Javier won Breeders' Cup races, and then you've got Irad Ortiz, who was the hero yesterday. Boy, spun to run. They told him what to do with him. Just go to the front.
4 wins over the weekend. He started it with four-wheel drive. He ended it with Vino Rosso. He ended it with the late double.
It seems like Bricks meant the most to him.
It seemed like, you know.
And to a lot of us.
Yeah, and to a lot of us. The raspy voice I got my clock cleaned up there this weekend. But Mike Manansky, who was WEI up in Boston, he came up to me after the race. He said, if I had a camera on you from the 3/8 pole home, the video would have been more valuable than when they took maximum security down in the Derby. I was booting and
There was a moment where, and it's funny because I saw it, and Chad Brown commented it too, but there was a moment between the quarter pole and the half-mile pole where Bricks looked like he left the bit, and he started backing up, and I thought, he's not getting the distance. And then right away picked him the bit. And they kept him boxed in. I mean, Old Persian went after him early, very early in the race outside of him. And Irad said enough of that. He gave him a little shake and he went away from that horse. But Johnny was sitting on him with Channel Maker. And it's race riding. I'm not knocking him. He's the favorite. He's the guy they got to beat. They're race riding. There's nothing wrong with it.
Listen, that was the perfect example of Bricks and Mortar and Gerard Ortiz Jr. left that paddock with an X on their back.
Yep.
And they walked away with a W. And it boils down to one very simple statement. The great ones find a way to win.
Well, as soon as he got any daylight, and I thought another cool thing was that yesterday, 8 of the 9 winners yesterday and 12 of the 14 winners throughout Breeders' Cup weekend, at one time or another, if not more than once, ran at the Naira tracks in 2019, including Spun to Run, who ran at Aqueduct early in January. I actually found that. It's kind of cool.
A very wise man tweeted out Friday night that East is beast.
Yes, I do like to make fun of the West Coasters and their paranoia when they say West is best. Well, East was beast this weekend. A lot of it owed to the connections and trainers, obviously, do a great job with the riders here, and I think the riders in New York, and we talk about it all the time how good they are, but they made us very proud this weekend. Yes. Anyhow, we do have 10 to talk about. And we'll start out with the first race. And I guess in the first race today, it's either you take Amazing Ride, who has experience, who I don't have a knock on. I took Autonomous, a first-time starter who could probably run a little bit of quality road, but there are others in here. You went to Amazing Ride.
I did, and you know, we say this a lot. Wouldn't have wanted to been David Aragona in here because this was a tough race to make a morning line for because, you know, Amazing Ride.
David did an amazing job here this weekend, by the way. I disagree with him about 9 times. I think I was 0 for 9.
Got you again? Yeah, I know. This was ran well first time out. She got a little tired late in the game. You know, when you see a race that has some firsters in here with connections, you got Brad Cox who wins first time out, Chad Brown, Jeremiah Engelhardt. Kind of tough to make a horse. That kind of tired in early stretch last time, the favorite, but he leaned to the experience, and that's exactly what I did. I just leaned to the experience in here. If I play the early pick 5, I just want to use a few in here, namely the horse you put on top, the number 5 Autonomous.
Yeah, I think we shouldn't leave out SkyTap. We'll take a look at the 2-year-old sales workout from OBS on SkyTap. 21 flat. You know, I'm curious. Maggie wasn't in her office when we came upstairs. I thought this workout was good. I didn't love it, but it was good. You know, this horse does not have a ton of pedigree and paid $170,000, a wicked strong off this workout. So obviously there were things to like about this horse's workout. You see him going down the stretch with his head down like that. And I think SkyTap's dangerous in here as well. He
has a really curious work tab too, right? That's littered. There's a couple of sharp moves. But a few slow moves. There's the big gap between May and August. So this horse was obviously getting ready earlier in the year.
Good point.
This horse was getting ready earlier.
Not a great point. But you made
it's a good one.
It's a good point. You're warming.
This horse was getting ready earlier in the year, and now we don't. You know, we see him late in the 2-year-old season.
Race number 2, going a mile. Had a lot of hers, and people calling him. By the way,
when Uni and Got Stormy dominate the boys, it's easy to get the hers and the hymns.
Kafefi sealed up that 3-year-old.
I think so.
Championship. Yeah, I think Sergei Empress deserves that sort of an honorable mention as
she ran so well
gutty
yesterday.
Horse of the year. Yeah. I tell you what, I was watching the race, and we had bet Dunbar Road before, and when she wasn't going to win, I looked up and I went, you know, Amos has a shot to win this race.
Yeah.
I was like, saw Joe Bravo actually in the jocks room this morning. Joe gave that horse a great ride.
A fantastic ride. For a filly
really
that was getting that horse of the course at Keeneland moniker, she broke through yesterday.
I agree, and to see him win for Nacho Correas, who, if you know Nacho, and a lot of people do, he is, and there's a lot of good people.
He was trying yesterday, you know that.
He is a great guy, a truly
really
great
is.
guy. Anyway,
got a fantastic horseman.
Race number 2, you've got the number 1. We'll take a look at Worth a Shot winning last time out. I have a trainer stat after we look at the replay for Worth a Shot. Gave him a little pause. I think the question with Worth a Shot is this more of a 1-turn, 6-7 furlong type horse, or can he stretch that to a mile around 2 turns? That's the biggest question. He's the worst to beat.
No question, it's the question. We'll find out today. Linda has taken her time bringing this horse along. 7 to 6 to 7 off of the 10-week break, and then the third off the layoff. Horse will be forwardly placed. Now, this is not a great stat.
No, and it's not a terrible stat either. I'm not trying to, you know, but my feeling with Linda is she has some things in racing she does great. Now, this is one she doesn't do badly. It's not a great percentage, though. It really isn't. I don't worry about the ROI that much. The only race that makes the horse dominant was last time out, so I want to stick with a horse that has a little more 2-turn experience, and I'm going to go to Dashing Dan in here. I thought Dashing Dan ran a huge race 2 races back, involved in that wicked pace, opt and graded on a curve, running 1-2, taking advantage of the pace, and Dashing Dan probably ran the best race that day, even though finished behind Nuts and Bolts. You don't have this horse anywhere. I'll tell you what was odd about this horse. This horse took absolutely no money last time. I don't understand how this horse was as cold in the bore as he was. He never got involved in the pace. He never got involved in the race. He was sort of losing position the whole way during the running. Gets back to Luis Saez for this race, and I'm giving Dashing Dan one more shot. I'm going to use 1-5. I wonder if David's right that he's going to be that big a price on the line. Maybe he's right.
Off that last race, I think he has to, and I'll tell you what.
You're probably right.
You make a great point.
Well,
I want to wait to see what kind of money this horse takes. An audible can absolutely be called. They knew this horse was not going to run last time. He didn't run two steps.
They knew he wasn't going to run.
They absolutely knew. Now, if it's different today and he takes some money in the double, or he opens up 7-2, maybe I back up with a little pick 4 action with him and start a pick 4 ticket with the rest of the sequence I use in the pick 5. But until I see the board, because the board spoke last time, he didn't run a step.
Why do you like Albie? I mean, you've got a horse like Impossible Odds, who I don't think I think he's impossible. I think he's impassable here. At the risk of Maggie getting mad at me, I think Impossible Odds is impassable here. Albie, what's wrong with Joe's Bold Cat? You don't think this horse is a player?
I gotta be honest. I
know he's a 3 for 31. He's got to win 2 straight. But Anthony, his last race can win this race.
I wanted to lean on top with a couple of horses that are a little more lightly raced. A lot of these horses have had some chances.
Okay.
And I wanted to. I would have used Dashing Dan had he run a little better last time out.
Impossible Odds is not hasn't had chances.
No, he's not. But he's been running against Open, and he's dropping into not the toughest state bred race he's going to find.
I'm using 159 in race number 2. The third race.
Race tree.
Race number 3. I don't love to pick horses that are supermoto and figure to be big favorites. Though if Aristocrat is 5-2 here, I think he's an overlay. We'll take a look at him winning 2 back. Now, there's no question when he won 2 back, he got away with murder on the front end. But the reality is, he still ran a big race, and a race that would just blow this field out of the water. Last time out, he tried to go 7 furlongs against horses. He was off the claim against horses that would crush this field.
Bury them.
Bury this field.
Bury this field.
And I don't even think, frankly, he ran that badly in there because that race was completely incinerating in the late stages. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Trying to go 7. Now he's back to 6.5. And who's supposed to be able to run with him early today? I mean, nobody can run with him.
Right.
He is way faster than these horses. And Dylan knows to use his speed. But I hate picking horses that, to me, on paper, I just keep going, well, how can he lose? Because when you say, how can they lose? They lose. But I can't make a case for anybody else.
I took one little shot against him with the blinkers on, getting back to dry ground for the 4,000%, but he's a 3-year-old running against older, and I understand that. Dry dirt, rather.
The problem is all this horses race are against 3-year-olds,
no,
man. They're restricted 3-year-old races.
I got it.
I hate that move.
I know.
Talking about an old pro like Aristocratic.
I'm hoping that the blinkers on get him a little closer. He's maybe the first one to come calling on Aristocratic.
Yeah, no, he's not far from.
He's the only one. I really think, we talk about how they're
What about a Majestic Affair dropping down?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I scratched into him after the 5 came out, after CARRYOVER came out. I put him 4th late in the game. I don't know. I mean,
I don't trust him,
it's a double drop.
Yeah.
Maybe.
He could wake up this morning, remember who he was, and beat his field.
Listen, and you know what? He's the horse in here that would pose the biggest threat to Aristocratic in that manner. If Majestic Affair wakes up and decides to run like he was 18 months ago, it's all over.
He could be really excited, Majestic Affair, because his original owner, Tom Coleman, finished 8th, I believe, in the BCBC Challenge yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
well, there you go.
Pretty impressive performance.
That'll probably have a lot to do with the performance.
He might have known. Tom might have called him, let him know. He's probably
called
proud.
him?
Yeah. I don't know if Tom knows he was 8th, but I do.
Coming from the guy that doesn't believe horses tweet, they called up?
All right, I was kidding. Deep Sea is a horse that's going to take money in this race that I don't want. This is a stat we've talked about before. This is a barn that's horses continually need a race off of layoffs. And this stat backs it up. And I'm going to tell you something. This horse went second to Still Crazy, finishing out of Aristocratic. That was an embarrassing loss because this horse was handed the race.
That was some
and
day.
couldn't
Remember
win.
that day?
That was some loss. And then I know the fields were tougher. This horse's form completely and totally fell apart. So you've got a horse off a layoff for a barn that doesn't win off layoffs. I don't want any part of Deep Sea. I think it's going to take money here. He can obviously win, but I don't want him.
He, in particular, has run well off of breaks. Now, they have not been as long as
They've been for barns, though, that
break,
win off layoffs.
But it's correct. That's the only problem. So it's kind of, it's a catch-22. The barn doesn't win, but he wins.
It's not a voodoo thing. trainer stats are things, especially like that.
absolutely.
It's like Linda Rice, second-time starters.
Yep.
Trainers off layoffs. Trainers second off layoffs. And by the way, a little nod to the Gary Contessa barn. You know, they've obviously been in a bad
Good
run.
that horse run.
They got off the Schneid. You know, it's funny to see them get off the Schneid with a random horse. It was neat he did it with Gary Richards because Gary Contessa gives Gary Richards, who must ride horses for him in the morning, I assume.
He works for him for 100 years.
Yeah, and gave him a chance to ride that 30-1 shot, so it was nice to see them get the win in the last race
How about
yesterday.
another Miracle ran well on Friday?
No question about it. Another Miracle's a good horse.
I forgot that you've obviously talked about with Maggie about Friday. I wasn't here.
Well, we didn't have that much time. Another Miracle did run well.
He ran really, really well.
Yeah.
Glad to see the
It's a
New
good
York horse wake up and
Yep.
run well.
Absolutely. Race number 4. Race number 4 is a super, super interesting race. Now, there is no denying it. The horse we'll look at here, Some Sound, is the horse to beat in this race. I'm not going to pretend. This horse runs back to his last race where he finished behind a future stakes winner in Free Enterprise. He's going to win this race. Speaking of Cold Barns, they have not started that many horses, but I don't believe Jimmy Jerkins has won a race since Preservationist won the Woodward.
It's been a couple of months.
Now, he hasn't run a ton of horses, so it's not, but they're a little chilly, and this was a lot of improvement. I want to see it again, and there's a lot going on in this race today.
Felt like the blinker.
You got that sweat towel out early.
I felt like
So
the
in race 3.
blinkers and the change in tactics that probably were in effect of the blinkers going to the lead woke this horse up in a big way.
Fair.
I wasn't going to try and mess around. He's cutting back from the 6.5 to 6. That's going to help. Their Free Enterprise is not here today, and I just think he's gonna be able to get in front of these horses. Maybe long-term thinking with the blinkers on. He showed
Take a look at his last race
Yeah.
at Parks. It's a weird race by
Weird
him.
race.
He's a horse that did not need to get disqualified when he got disqualified back in Monmouth. I got why they did
That
it.
was 2, by the way.
Yeah, I know. They took down 2 of the Karovich Chad Brown horses, maiden
He
winners.
winds up between horses here. This is a really weird.
Well, he ends up running in the late stages of the race. I don't know. I don't know what it was. And he puts the blinkers on. His horses improve a lot. Chad Brown does not just randomly put blinkers on, and maybe he is a horse who's had problems, some attention deficit problems. He's a real threat here.
I put him
He's
second.
not beating Some Sound. Some Sound wins his last race, but he's a real threat here.
If Some Sounds runs his last race, they're all running for a distant second money. You put the horse.
There are other interesting horses I want to talk about. So, I want to spend a little time on this race.
Okay.
Fabulous Fun. I have to pick him on top. This is a horse that there were stories on this horse.
Remember?
This horse was 5-1, despite the fact that there were only 2 people on the planet Earth, Anthony Stabile and Andy Serling, that hadn't got the memo that Mucho couldn't lose. Because Mucho, off a pathetic, slow debut maiden race, was 2-1. And at that point, he looked like he was going to be one of the best 2-year-olds in the country. And unfortunately for Mucho, it shows how tough the game is. He ran an okay second, the hopeful.
Do you remember that? I was driving back up. Peggy and Vito got married Friday. I was driving back up that morning, and you said to me, "Did you hear anything on Mott?" I said, "No." Why? He goes, "Because the horse is just getting destroyed on the board." I didn't hear anything on.
He crushed the field.
He buried them.
Fullness at times, not a bad horse, it turns out. But this horse, Fabulous Fun, got bet. Now, he was not on the rail. The rail was bad that day. He was 3 wide. But he went to lead. You don't see that a lot with Shug. And then he just stopped. Now, obviously, something went badly wrong because we haven't seen him now for 15 months. This is a horse that was working well before his race. He's working well again now. They put Lasix on. I know he's in a tough field. I know he's off a long layoff. But I'm going to give this horse one more spin. I got to take this guy for a drive
You
today.
can think long-term thinking is a threat to Some Sound. But if you're sitting in one of these chairs, the only horse you could pick on top against Some Sound is the horse you pick.
Well, he's an unknown. I mean, he's an
That's it.
unknown, and I'm going to believe. Listen, it's not like Up and Onward. The 2 didn't run well for Mark Hennig. This horse ran fine last time in a fast race. There are other horses. I'll tell you who's I feel bad for. I feel bad for Jake Rocks. He manages to get in more unlucky positions
What
in
a
his races.
spot he's found
He got on
today,
the
right?
dead rail 4 races back. He's been in sort of unlucky, and he comes in today, and it's just a super tough race. I'll tell you another horse I think is very interesting. Allen's Argument.
Sure.
I doubt this horse is good enough to win today, but it's a horse that worked a very, very strong 10 flat. They made $125,000 for a horse that's a Louisiana-bred Violence that works fast in the sale. It took a long time to get the winners into the track, but I'll bet you that Allen's Argument's a runner. I just don't know if he can beat his
Even
field
the
today.
bottom horse, even only if
He's a
own
little
it if you want it. He's a little slow, but right, he's caught some tough
No,
company.
but I mean, there are horses in here that are dirtied up. There are horses in here that you don't know. We know what Own It If You Want It is. We don't. Jake's Rocks is better than he looks on paper. and he's not even that bad. His last race was actually pretty good. That race fell apart coming off the layoff. It's a very, very interesting race. This is a crazy, crazy tough maiden race for 3-year-olds and up to come this late in the year.
Right. The fact that it's
This
an older, it's fun.
there
It's an
are
older
horses.
horse race.
I'll put it this way: there are horses in this race that'll hit the board in a graded stake, if not win.
The fact that it's an older
There's
horse
runners in
race,
this
yes.
race. There are runners.
We'll
in this
see
race.
that with the 2-year-olds sometimes, but for seeding for the older
Especially
horses.
later in the year. It's one
Yeah.
thing when it happens in May and horses having a chance to break their
Different,
maiden.
right? Off layoffs
And this is also
everything.
goofy horses. That the horse for Midwest showing up, the first-time starter showing up, Shug's horse off the long layoff. You know, I mean, it's just odd. The horse at Chad's that ran 2 races out of town. It's just an odd race.
Fun race.
Race number 5, the Chelsea Flower. I'm glad they brought this back. You know, you don't ever want to cancel, but I prefer that we canceled last weekend. This happened in years past, and get to run this in the turf. Now, unfortunately,
So you can destroy one of
the
last year off the
lady,
turf.
the Lady Eli horse was. That horse was.
Princess of
She was
Caroline.
sick, so she didn't get to run last week. And I'm Shug.
We
The only
don't
one that
know
didn't
where
rebound
Enola Gay
was
is.
the Shug horse, right?
Yeah, we don't know where Enola Gay is.
Enola Gay, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
So it's easier for everybody else, and maybe it makes it a more open race. Let's take a look at Sparkling Sky. Sparkling Sky, at the end of the day, one of the horses to beat in this race. This is her win, her maiden win. I don't think she ran badly in the Selflessly Cristal race, and while Cristal got left again and cost herself the race, I thought Selflessly ran a very good 5th in a 2-year-old juvenile fillies race. It was much faster than the Colts this year.
And hung out to dry most
Yeah,
of the
she
way.
actually ran very well.
Yeah, she ran
Yeah,
really
very well
well.
to be fifth.
I agree. Yeah, coming out of that Miss Grillo, it was almost like 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other when it came to Sparkling Sky and English Breeze, right? This was a very good effort,
I
breaking
thought she
the
was
maiden.
better than English Breeze last time out. I didn't love English Breeze today.
Okay.
Not impossible. You've got her on top.
I put her on top. Yeah, I mean, I liked her race the last time. I've liked all 3 of her races.
Yeah,
I think
no,
that's something.
She can win.
Yeah, you know.
I went a little goofy here, and I had to leave out some logicals.
I thought about. I put your horse 4th. It's one
We'll
of
get
those
to it.
races where I wish I could put 7 numbers on the board.
I agree. Even horses like Micheline I left out.
Yep.
And I'll tell you something right now. I made a choice. I was going to put the 5 4th. I put the 10 Astoria Kitten. I don't think she's good enough, but she's in front here.
She's in front here.
She's a threat to
and
wire
if
the
you're
field.
between 5s and 10s, Astoria Kitten's probably going to be twice her price.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to see that she's a speed here. I thought Sparkling
Yeah,
Sky
but you
might
don't
be the
think
one
people
who's
get turned
overbet.
off by the 10 hole? I think people get turned off by the 10 hole.
Not if they're sure the horse is going to be able to clear.
I guess.
I'll tell you why I took Speak to Me of Summer. Speak to Me of Summer is not winning if she runs her last race. It's just not good enough to beat these horses. And she had a very good trip that day. We have seen in years past Christophe Clement break 2-year-old maidens out of town, Monmouth, sometimes Delaware, with pretty moderate to low
Just to
figs.
get them to spots like
get them
this.
a race, to get them into these races, because we'll run a few of these 2-year-old races, these ungraded stakes here. We'll run one at Aqueduct. We'll run one at Belmont. This one's got postponed. And I have seen Christophe win with these at bigger prices and get horses to improve dramatically. And I'm going to think Speak to Me of Summer is one of those horses that can take a big step
And
forward.
he has even employed that tactic now with older horses. He'll send some of the other fillies over to Tampa in the winter, especially.
Well, no, he does that to pad his win stats. Tampa and Suffolk is where
Let's be
Christophe. What?
Stop
what?
breaking chops. Let's be serious. He'll get these horses out of the
I'm
maiden.
breaking chops, but I'm also being
He'll
serious.
get these horses out of the maiden ranks.
Oh, he doesn't go to Tampa and Suffolk to pad his win stats? Come on.
I don't think he does. I think he does.
Yeah,
it to
you
get-
do.
I think he does it to get horses out of the maiden ranks.
He
because,
does. I'm
You know,
teasing.
you're leaving the Naira Circuit and you go through
Well,
in the winter
maidens,
to
yes.
try to get these maidens out of, because some of
Well,
those maiden races are stakes horses.
This is a very, very big discussion of the need for more maiden races and the ability for people to break their
Yes.
maidens, because you can't run allowance races if horses don't get a chance to break their maiden. I don't know where it's
We're
raining.
leaking.
Want to fix that, Anthony? You do everything else here. Anthony
Yeah.
will be back calling on Thursday.
Yep.
How about Bradenbury? We got a stat for Graham Motion. I'm not leaving Graham Motion shippers out. I know this horse looks a little slow. I'm not leaving this guy's shippers out from Europe. I mean, those stats are too potent.
The
Do
first
not leave
time
this horse
LASIX,
out.
especially with the young horses.
Well,
very,
they
very
usually
important.
have LASIX first time. These
Yep,
ones when they come from
very
Europe.
important.
She's
Like I
got to
said,
improve. She didn't run great races over there, but she'd run at Newmarket twice. And
You
great
mentioned,
job by Graham with
in
Sharon.
my opinion, the interesting horse in here that neither one of us have on the board.
Micheline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm using 2, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10 in the pick 5.
Yeah.
I don't want to let Micheline beat me. She ran in Alcibiades last time. She had no chance in there. She's getting LASIX for the first time on the turf this time. The first race was okay. She won the stakes as a maiden at Monmouth. She's going to be 10-1 because the money can only go.
You don't want to get
Certain
overly
places.
caught up in speed figures with these 2-year-olds in their first or second starts. They can and will often improve. And it's not like anybody has Herculean numbers in
No.
here. We got 5 more to go. Quick break. We'll be right back.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. New members earn up to a $200 deposit match with promo code Big A at NairaBets.com.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. He's Anthony Stabile. I'm not. Race number 6 kicks off the late pick 5. I got to tell you, race number 6, my head was spinning trying to handicap this race. And we'll take a look at Douse's Beach. Douse's Beach, this is 2 races back winning. And Douse's Beach always seems to get the benefit. He has like a get-out-of-jail-free card. He's allowed to foul at least 1 horse every race. He cut off the other speed and took him out of the race in the backstretch 3 races ago. He slams Shiraz, who wouldn't pass Anthony and I down the stretch in a horse suit. But just to make sure he didn't, he came out right at the wire and he slams into Shiraz. It may have been at like too late, but it is funny watching the head on. You can kind of see it there. He's supposed to be the speed today. I can't take this guy on top. You've left him completely out. I've never been a fan of this horse, but he may get in front of
I
these
probably
horses.
should have put him back in, realizing the turf still has him given the ground. He seems to appreciate that. Does he have the chance or the community chest to get out of jail free card?
I wanted to say something about the turf. We're listing it as good. It was yielding yesterday.
Okay.
It could have dried a little bit today, but this is very much on the yielding side of good. It's not
I
firm.
Probably should have put him in there. Then.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you something. There are 2 Linda Rice horses in here. One of them is the Tanner. You have 4th and I have 3rd, electronic. And I think that the course having real given it helps electronic. And this is the quick call. Now, I know this was a race that collapsed at the end. This was a fast pace that fell apart. And it worked in electronic's favor. He got a great ride from Jose Lezcano that day. But he's had 3 straight very firm turf courses, including last time in a no-pace race. Now, I don't know how much pace you're going to get today. We saw a turf sprint fall apart yesterday. There is given the ground, and I think getting back to turf with given the ground is going to help Electronic run his best race, which gives him a chance here. He may not be good enough even on that, though, but I think the turf course, it's why I showed this, because of the turf condition. So I'm going to use him.
I don't disagree.
You prefer Linda's other horse? No, you've got...
I like Bourbon Mission a lot today. It's funny you said that because I know
Why?
Well, I like horses that have run representative races. And I think he's run a couple of representative races in here. The last 2 races.
Well, 2 back, he beat a bad field with a perfect setup.
Well, I don't... You see,
he ran better last time when he had no pace and he closed to Fripton at least.
Now he goes to Rudy.
Well, Rudy's 3 for 51 off the claim in the turf. To be fair,
I got it.
He's 2 for 7, 5 to 6 furlongs. So you don't know this, so don't shake your head like you know.
No, I understand. I know the turf numbers are not good.
He wins with his numbers. He's 2 for 7, 5 to 6 furlongs. But he's not exactly a trainer that has great numbers.
Don't poo-poo me. I know that the turf numbers are not good.
No. What you didn't know was that he's 2. You're not listening. He's 2 for 7.
Well, that's good.
Off the claim from 5 to 6 furlongs.
Yeah, no, I did not know that. I know that the turf numbers overall are not very good off the claim. I also know that this horse, I think this horse has a couple of races on his card that make him fit in here. I also think this horse is going to be a little closer today because Rudy usually puts a little speed into these horses.
Fair enough.
And I think this
horse... He could be a little closer based on his race 2 back last time.
And he's had a couple of starts where those starts 3 and 4 back, brush start, hit the gate. You know, when he gets away cleanly, he's a lot closer to the pace. First time Rudy, Manny climbing aboard. I like this horse a lot today. If I can get 6 to 1, I'm going to make a win bet on this horse.
I got to tell you something. I don't think you're getting it. I don't know how anyone can like any horse a lot in this race.
Okay.
I think Fast Getaway is not impossible. The problem is, where is his fast race? When Like the Posse won, he got everything his own way in there. I don't know. Why did I pick Le General on top? Because he's going to be forward here. And I don't know that it's going to be that much of a pace in here. We'll see if it matters. And I'll tell you something. I don't think he ran badly last time. I think Amayo may have been stretching it for him. And that race really fell apart. And I thought he actually ran okay. And we saw the 2nd place finisher, Ghost Giant, come back and win yesterday. So I think he passed the turf test last time.
I thought he ran Giant
And I'm going to tell you, that was off a layoff. He's cutting back. If he's right, he could be the best horse in this race, and I thought he'd be in a good stalking spot. I'll give him one more chance.
That's his biggest issue, right? I mean, I know when he broke his maiden, he technically was stalking, but he was right on top of that pace and made the lead.
But isn't he going to be on top of Douse's Beach today?
Yeah, he is going to be. He's going to be. I don't disagree with that. I wonder how much pressure he puts on him.
Well,
And which
well,
Dows's
if he gets
Beach-
too close
which
to him,
Dows's Beach
Dows's Beach
shows
might
up.
knock him over
Yeah.
because he gets that jail free card. Yeah, which Dows's Beach going to show up? That's the other question. Is his last race also an indication
If the
his
bad
form is
one
dropping
shows,
off?
if the bad one shows up, LeGeneral's chances improve greatly today.
Well, they all improve because he'll get nothing in
Yeah.
here. Some very, very interesting race numbers. This card today is as good a card. We had a very good card the day,
Friday.
the last Saturday at Belmont.
Oh, yeah.
No. This card is far and away the best card of the weekend. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think we've had a more interesting, better card than this in Saratoga. This is a very interesting card. The next race is not an easy race going forward. And a lot of words I don't know what to do with. Vincento. I'll tell you something funny about Vincento. You know what his 2 recent wins are?
Yeah, forwardly placed.
No, off the claim for Linda. His 2 wins were both races where he was off a claim for Linda Rice.
No, he won for Rudy.
No, he was claimed by Rudy from Linda.
Right, but he won.
No, you're right.
He
Okay,
won
I'm
that
sorry.
day.
The 2 times Linda is one with him. I'm sorry, off the claim for Linda.
Yep.
Now, he was able to dictate a very moderate pace. Growth Engine, who hasn't run back since this race,
Nope.
I thought ran a winning race in here, and even The Rock Says, who did not run well in a subsequent start. I thought
He
the
ran
winner.
second the other day at Churchill, I think.
I think you and I have the 3 most logical horses, 1, 2, 3 in here. We both put Westwood fourth. I think the winner comes from out of there. I'm confused here. I don't know if Proven Reserves can run at all anymore. He did have an excuse of not breaking and being overly aggressively ridden 3 races back. He stunk 2 races back, and obviously he was the most impressive rabbit in the history of rabbits in his last race. The rabbit who
He was less of a rabbit than Thais.
I think Annals of Time.
Thais went 115. This horse was 8th.
Annals of Time might have been the rabbit for Proven Reserve, as it turned out in this race, because Annals was actually ahead of him.
The whole way.
God bless Annals of Time.
Another good boy.
Anyway, I feel like one of them was going to win. Backside of the Moon. I mean, he didn't break that sharply to half slow last time. Maybe he doesn't love a sloppy track. You give him a shot for Rudy, but
That's it.
You remember what I said to you last time about Backside of the Moon? You get in trouble when sharp guys, the Rudy Rodriguez sharp guys, claim horses from lower percentage trainers. I'm not knocking Leo, but Leo's win a lot of races. But at the end of the day, horses like this, Leo O'Brien has the answer. It's not like Leo did anything wrong with Backside of the Moon. He ran well for Leo almost every single time. And a lot of these horses get claimed by sharp guys, and they can't do anything with
you
them.
know what part of that is too, Andy? The barns,
They have smaller barns. Well, yeah.
The smaller barns can spend more time on these horses, and maybe.
And a good horse is a good horse.
That's it. That's it. Now I'm going to give him one more chance.
I am too.
He's going to be a bigger price than both Vincento and Proven Reserves. He's first time on a fast track for Rudy, and that was pretty much it.
And one of the reasons that I'm throwing out the number 6 in this race, Tour de Force, is the stat for Dave Canizzo. I mean, Dave's numbers off the claim in the dirt, and you see that ROI, 6 for 105 off the claim in the dirt. That's because of holiday bonus. The horse he paid from Graham, he paid $90. So you take him out of the stat, and the ROI is 50 cents.
Yeah, and he does his best running on the front end, and he's not getting that over Guns of Steel.
Doesn't seem like he is.
That's not happening.
And Guns of Steel looks a little tough to wire the field, ex-Navarro, but if he gets back to his Navarro form, he can win.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a very tricky
Even
race.
now, Ruby Blue, the 4 has some speed.
Yep.
Little speed,
Yeah,
so
he does.
he's not getting,
Tour de
to,
Force
the,
speed
he's
in
not
front of
getting
him.
to the front.
Well, I even think See This Quick has
Yeah.
enough speed, and
Sort
Joey
of
could be
stretching
impressed
out.
with him stretching
Yeah.
out. Westerlin, I thought, was a little interesting. We've got him 4th. He does that one dirt race, but his other dirt races were abysmal. Where did that race come from?
Good. Not good. Well, yeah. I don't know.
Race number 8, the Zagora. Speaking of Chad Brown and Murray Schwartz.
Chad's first Philly in Mare Turf win, I believe, back in 2012.
Do you know what the Chad Brown barn, and let's not just give Chad credit, let's give credit to the people that work with him,
No
too,
question.
who do a sensational job, top to bottom, every single buddy in that outfit. 8 starts in the Breeders' Cup, 3 wins and 2/3. I think maybe the most impressive performance is he got without parole to run 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Mile. Hadn't run in a long time. Probably may have even needed a race. Been working with Bricks. Run 3rd in that race.
Selflessly ran 5th, and then the 2 fillies in the distaff, Dunbar
Road.
That was all about, but.
And Wildcat, who had no chance anyway. Yeah. All right, this is a bring back from last time, but the interesting thing about the race being brought back is there's a new player. Now, Fool's Gold, speaking to Chad Brown, is back. We'll show Fool's Gold winning the Weah 2 races back. Which Fool's Gold is going to show up? Did she peak in this Weah, and then she ran lousy in Glens Falls, and you don't want her going forward, or are we going to forgive her Glens Falls?
she was on such
What?
an upward trajectory that it's kind of.
She had the run of this race, Anthony.
She didn't run 2 steps.
She had the
What-
run of
what
this
do you-
race.
I
There was
know,
a-
she
the
didn't
speed-
run 2
There was the
steps.
speed who's in here for Clement, Sky Full of Stars.
Yeah.
She just stopped, and she inherited.
Perfect setup.
And Santa
She
Monica.
stunk.
I'm not saying she can't win because she can win. I've got her third. You've got her second. I'm not her biggest fan.
Yeah, you and I basically looked at this race as what are we going to do with the new shooter, Empress of the Nile? You put her on top. I didn't use her.
Empress of Nile wasn't in here. Now, we'll show Empress of Nile's race, 2 back for her, and Fool's Gold is finishing nowhere in here. Empress of Nile ran very, very well in this race because she actually lost position to the talented Mississippi. Did she run a step yesterday? Tough to close in that race
No, it was
yesterday.
tough
Actually, the horse I
yesterday.
picked ran very well to
Yeah.
be 4th, just behind Sister Charlie in there. And Sister Charlie had a bit of an excuse the way the course was playing. The inside runners did well. I thought she ran fine in here. Mississippi came back with a good second place finish, Flower Bowl. Now, Empress of Nile did not show up in the Flower Bowl, and that worries me a bit. And one of the reasons it worries me a bit is given the course. Now, she's run well with given the course before. There wasn't a ton, though, of given in the Flower Bowl, but there was a little bit, more today. I just feel like if she runs back to that race in the Glens Falls, and I thought it was a horse that always had ability for Jimmy Bond, and she took a real step forward with Graham, I thought she might just be better than these horses.
Yeah, the giving the ground was part of it. You know, Graham didn't want to run her back in 2 weeks. I'm assuming that's why she was not in this race in 3 weeks rather.
Oh,
why she
get
wasn't
an
in this
extra
race
week
last
now.
week. I mean, is an extra week going to help? Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe it will.
I feel an extra hour of sleep does a lot for me.
I don't. It helped me getting in the car coming back from Mohegan.
Was
today.
Betty still in the car?
Betty was not. I sent the video. There was no Betty White.
He's lying.
I'm telling you, man.
I think she's tough, but this is a very tough race.
It
Now,
is.
listen, the horse I have second, you have in top, was my top choice last time. You know what happens when you change those picks? I didn't really change them. The race changed.
Mm-hmm.
We'll show Lemon Zip finishing second to a horse that a friend of mine is involved with, O Dionysus. And this was the boys. And I got to tell you something.
Last 2 of the boys, by the way.
I poo-pooed this horse when this horse came to Belmont 1 in June. And I was wrong. Now,
I liked
she was
her
a
that
little
day,
lucky
remember?
that day.
Yeah, she was.
She was a little lucky. A lot of horses had bad trips in there. But she has really improved, and she's a great example of a horse improving with distance. Now, she did run second to Homeland Security, who's back in here, who won this race last year when she was still in Chad Brown's barn. This was some performance against some pretty tough horses.
Yes.
Postulation?
Last two against the boys. She's running against graded stakes winners last time out. You look at all of her races going the added distances, and she's really improved. She's also improved with the blinkers. I think it's probably a little bit of both, the distance and the blinkers. I like the fact, and the one time she ran behind Homeland Security, it was in a 4-horse field. I don't like to
I agree.
indict a horse.
I don't think
or
Homeland Security
applaud a
was ever
horse.
that good, to be
But I don't
honest with
either.
you. I think she just won some races, but she does like distance.
Yep.
She's not impossible.
No.
David Aragona's going to try to wire the field with Bo Bell. David, best of luck to you with her. I think Lady Montour's best races are behind her. She has not run well this year, but obviously if she has back races to win it. Can we get the money stretch out? I mean, Pamina got a horrible trip when she was running 1.5 miles as the favorite of the Flaming Page. I just think she's not good enough to beat these horses.
Either.
But when she tried 1.5 miles, 2 back, she did get a silly trip in there. I thought War Cabinet had no excuse.
You know who made me, I was a little interested in Marcilla, who scratched out of this last week, and obviously it didn't wind up mattering.
Well,
because-
I mean, she's only if you think that Graham's taken a shot to see is this a horse that can improve with distance. She's lightly raced, and she's got nothing but
She's gonna be a
upside.
big
No,
number on here,
I
too.
gave her a look too. She's clearly not fast enough to be competitive, but if she improves with distance, it's her 5th career start.
Yep.
And she's already improved a lot for Graham in leaps and bounds just in a few starts, and another European he won with coming over this country. I don't love her, but I hear you. This is an interesting race.
And she ran,
we could spend the rest of the
she
show
ran
talking
on-
about
She
it.
ran
but
on the soft ground, which may
we
help
have
her
the
cause
best
with the give
two-year-old,
today.
the best 2-year-old Colt stake run so far in this country. This is the best 2-year-old for the boys. This race, with all due respect, I'm not saying there are better horses, or there may be. This is a much more interesting race than the Breeders' Cup
Top to
Juvenile
bottom.
was.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in here, and I think we have to talk and start with Maru. Maru's last race, I mean, we switched to race 9. We didn't get to see our picks, but we'll see when we come back. Let's see Maru last
There they
time. Oh, my God. Okay, here's a horse who can win. Maru, did I really have to see that nightmare?
You did?
I'll give you the one knock on this horse. Duarte's 0 for 18 in New York. He has 9, he's hit the board in 9 of those races. He's winning out of town. He is not winning in New York. That worries me a little bit. But this horse's race, This race is fast. Now, is it possible that fig seemed a little high? It's not high compared to Timeform US, but the other horses in the race, they all had to improve a little bit, but they were likely race 2-year-olds. You've got this horse fourth?
I don't like this horse stretching out to the mile today. I don't like Duarte's not winning here in New York, and I don't like this horse stretching it from 6 to a mile.
It's a good horse.
He might be.
Be careful with this horse.
He might be.
It's a very good horse. I think he's way the horse to beat, but I'm going to pick ASHAAR, who you pick second. We'll show you ASHAAR winning last time. I'm not big on he could have won by more. I think that's a lot of BS that people use, and I'm not saying he could have won by a lot more, but it won pretty easy for Joe. And he moved probably sooner than he wanted to move here because there's just sort of nothing he could do. This horse, we'll show you a stat for KIARAN McLaughlin after this. The lights. Didn't happen.
It goes off. It goes at the same time every day.
Didn't happen with Maggie yesterday. Just pointing it out.
Didn't happen with Maggie.
KIARAN's got very good numbers. With second-time stars, broke their maidens their debut. This horse wins easily. That was a good-looking race. I believe in this horse. He draws well on the outside. He's going to have to run to beat Maru, who I think is going to be much tougher than you do. And there are a lot of good horses in here, but I picked him on top.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I am not as worried about Maru, obviously, as you are. This horse is supposed to work out the best trip, I would think, from that draw today.
I don't think that.
You don't think so?
Social effect. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I don't know.
Because I agree with you.
I don't think it'll be 5-1.
I know he won't.
No,
I think he kind of had a move when he did last time. It was a weird. It was kind of a weird, right?
I think he just sort of fell in that spot.
Yep,
we have to
he
continue to
fell
move on.
into it. Yep.
We have to keep moving forward. You like Spycraft. I don't see this horse stretching. And how's he going to outrun Maru early?
He's not. He's going to sit
So
right
he's going
off.
to rate.
He's going to sit
stretching
right
out
off
a quarter of a mile.
He's going to sit right off of Maru. Jose TOSCANO is as good as it gets at leaving out of the gate and getting position. He's going to see what Maru does. Listen.
Well, he got left last time, which makes his performance that much more impressive. He better not get left in here,
No,
big
he gets
boy.
left will be 8th.
Right.
I'm not saying that, but I truly believe that they'll leave out of their running, see what Maru does. If
I agree.
Maru's on a, if Maru's on a Belvoir Bay, which was a great ride by Javier yesterday, just blasting off and getting over.
Well, it helped the Pure Sensation got
It
left.
did.
I feel bad for Christophe.
It did.
Christophe Clement cannot get a break in the Breeders' Cup
amazing.
races. Pure Sensation actually ran very well to be
But
fifth in
she
that
was-
race. If he breaks yesterday, I bet he wins.
But Belvoir Bay was ridden for speed yesterday.
No, I agree.
Okay, and if he gives...
That was one of Joel. By the way, I praised Joel Rosario. I think he's a great rider. Maybe not the best of rides.
Wasn't a great moment.
Eddie Haskell in there.
Anyway, I think Maru, if he blasts off, Jose will just get this horse off the inside and have a target. If Maru doesn't blast off, I think Jose would be more than happy to be forwardly placed on a lead. And to be honest, Andy, without him, him and Maru, they're the two front runners in the air.
No, the two's got speed. The Lebda has speed. You think Lebda can't win this race? Lebda ran third in a very, very fast race last time. This trainer has come here and had horses that are live. I think Lebda's a player in this race. I'm not completely dismissing him. I'm very scared of Lebda.
Forget about
here.
Dennis's Moments race. You like Scabbard's race the other day?
Doesn't matter. I'm not going to make too much. I poo-pooed a lot of people talking about the Santa Anita track before the Breeders' Cup. They were right. There were a lot of horses that... Scabbard was never handling the track. He was riding Scabbard to keep up in that race. Scabbard was never, ever, ever handling that track. So, no, I am not holding that against this horse at all. He can win this race. He's fast enough to be a player improving.
Okay.
Independence Hall ran well first time out. He won quite easily. But Independence Hall and Chase Tracker ran the same day at Parks. And if we look at Chase Tracker, we'll show you that this horse... It's an easy win for this horse and a fast race, and it was a much better race than Independence Hall's. I'll show you a stat with Todd Pletcher that is not particularly good with 2-year-olds that broke their maiden their debuts in their second start. But I'm not going to say this horse just went to Parks. This horse is okay.
Yeah, this was Pennsylvania Derby Day.
I got him fifth. But
Yeah, me too. I got him third. Independence Hall, the other one that broke the maiden, Joel Rosario thought enough to take off a Thursday at Belmont. He was going to go ride this horse at Laurel,
Right.
and they had the water main break, and they canceled the card.
This was the horse?
This was the horse, yeah. So
Where's Joel?
Joel's in California, I would imagine. He
Joel!
stays for Sunday.
You're like in the wrong place
He
at the wrong
does this-
time with this
He does it
horse.
every year. He stays there Sunday.
I know.
So
He's riding it this week.
I mean, look, the ROI is not good, but these horses win at 22%.
Well, I'm not saying I don't think this horse could win. I'm just pointing out the stats. This horse ran very well first time out. We haven't even talked about Americanus. We haven't even talked about Famished. They're not likely winners here, but they're not bad horses.
And I wonder, he probably, Doc Himmel probably thought he wasn't ready for the Champagne. He wanted to try the horse on the turf.
He didn't run terribly
got
on
to
the
run
turf.
the horse a mile and a 16th, which is what I think this horse is ultimately going to want to do. He's going to want
I
distance.
just don't know if he's fast enough.
I don't know if he's fast enough either, but I mean, he wouldn't surprise you if the pace collapsed and he came running with it.
This is the best running of the Nashua I can remember.
In hindsight, there were probably 5 horses with more upside than those horses we saw Friday at Santa Anita.
There's probably horses in this race, their trainers are saying, I should have.
Why didn't I go?
What if my horse held the track out there?
Yep.
But hindsight's 20/20.
Yep.
Race number 10 is not an easy one. As we switch to race number 10, let's take a look at the What's to Blame Good Solution replay as we keep trying to get through this card. I like Good Solution. I'm surprised more people don't like this horse. Good Solution is the number 6 here. Breaks last, gets steadied back to last. Good Solution lost every possible chance in this race and was completely out of position. Actually, got himself in a position pretty readily considering the break and kind of moved up. We'll pick the race up in the stretch. Now, it does feel like What's to Blame when we see him in the stretch is getting herded out quite a bit. But I think that What's to Blame, he's right between horses. That horse in the pink comes out on him. He's sort of green between horses. Now you've got the leaders drifting out. He's going to end up drifting into What's to Blame, but he drifts right in front of Good Solution. I don't know how strong a race this was overall, but there is no question the horse I want on this race is Good Solution.
No question about it. I agree with you 100%. It was his first start. What's to Blame's had a million chances already. And, yeah, he was getting herded out, like you said, but this horse didn't have the cleanest of trips, and you'd have to think he took a lot out of that effort. I was between putting 3 horses on top of him, and he was certainly one of them.
Yeah, point of humor is the horse to beat. He's taking a big drop down. He ran fine last time. I don't know.
Cutting back to 6. I think they're all good
I don't
things.
want these. You got a 1 for 60 barn. I don't want this barn at a short price.
I don't blame
That's why I
you.
put this horse on top. This
I
horse
just,
can win,
you know.
But I didn't want him at a short price. Mr. Mike.
Yeah, I like Mr. Mike's race off the long layoff last time, 6 months. Second time back off the break. I think he ran against a little bit of a quicker bunch, didn't he? Than the What's to Blame bunch? I think he did.
I don't like this horse at all.
Okay.
But, yeah, you're right. The speed figure's much faster. I am taking a horse that's slow. I agree. I could be taking a horse Good Solution that there's no trips in slow races.
I don't even know if it's the speed figure. I just think, we see this What's to
But
Blame
look at how
and
much
the Big
What's to Blame
Wonder.
regressed from that race.
Monkey see, monkey do. And
I hear it.
just
Okay,
suck it
I'm going to give you a couple other horses. I'm going to use the One Sweet Ride.
Certainly.
Irad's riding this horse. And this horse is a first foal from a dam. I think she was unraced, but the second dam produced 5 horses to try the turf. 3 of them won. There's turf pedigree in this horse.
See, and now here's the difference between the horse and the stakes race and this horse.
Horse is a big
This
price.
horse will be 15 to 1.
I don't care about
right,
trainer
exactly
dominating
right.
races.
Yeah.
You know who has pedigree? Cool Your Boots. It's after a couple of turf winners, a big price, and you're 100 to 1.
Yeah, it'd be a big price.
How about Kavara Dossi trying the turf for the first time with the claim? You know who Kavara Dossi's a have to?
I do. I didn't look, but give me.
Well, he costs a lot of money. He's a half horse that costs a lot of money. Who's standing at stud now that Todd Pletcher trained. You know who the second dam of this horse is? The second dam
Just
of
give
Kavara
it all-
Dossi
just give it
has a
all to me.
race named after her.
Give it to me.
Key Sense is the second dam.
Yeah.
This horse I have to Carpe Diem. Yeah, this horse is a gigantic. And Farrell, that horse who won the Chuvie
The Wayne Catalano
well, Lucas had her too. Yes, Wayne Catalano. Wayne Catalano, excuse me, right. I
Yeah.
remember teasing Wayne coming in one day, and she actually ran very, very well.
Yep.
Red Mule just doesn't finish races off. I can't use him, but
Yeah, he's tough. at
he
this
does
point.
have speed. It's a very good race to
Yep.
close out. This card, this is a sensational card from
Fun
top
card.
to bottom. Honestly, I don't think there's a weak race on the entire card. I don't think there's any race
I
where you go,
agree.
this race just whatever. Fun talking about it. Good to have you back.
Thanks.
Naira Bets, you're not a member of Naira Bets, head on over to nairabets.com. Use the promo code Big A.
Boom!
I tell you what, I am jealous.
You know you've made it when you've
nobody
had a
ever had a
promo
promo
code.
code named after me. It's not right. Maggie's not going to be happy about this.
I don't
Maggie's
think
not
it's named
gonna be
after
happy
me.
about this. 100% deposit match up to $200 as well for all new members using that promo code.
I am not
Big
matching that deposit. by the way.
A.
It's not me.
All right, John and Brielle, the voice of the Big A. Speaking of that, and you will be calling on Thursday. You're calling a race?
Yep, back on Thursday.
All right.
Fourth race Thursday.
All right, looking forward to it. Beautiful day here at Aqueduct. Great card. Get involved. No hangover from the Breeders' Cup here at Aqueduct today.
Ladies and gentlemen, to honor America, please stand for our national anthem.
They're off. And they're into the stretch. It is Tacitus in the Wood Memorial.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Aqueduct. And we have mostly sunny skies with the temperature in the low 50s. The main track is fast. The turf courses are good. The portable rail is set out at 18 feet on the inner turf and at 24 feet on the outer turf. We do have a carryover today in the Empire 6, and that jackpot carryover is more than $12,000. The Empire 6 begins today in race number 5. We have 10 races overall, and right now we'll take a look at the changes. Nothing to report in today's first race. In the second race, scratch 1A Beachside and scratch number 4 Legion Storm. In the second race, scratch numbers 1A and 4, and please note there's just a spelling change on the number 7 horse, Big Wonder, the rider for number 7. It's Caven Serrano. On to the third race. Note that number 3, Swiping Dan, is 1 pound over, and scratch the 5, Carrier Landing. Scratch 5, Carrier Landing. No changes in the fourth. Race 5 is the Chelsea Flower Stakes, and again, it begins the Empire 6. Note that number 4, Michelin, runs with a hood again. Sixth race, scratch 1A Leaky Cup, 11 Mission Command, 12 Discretionary Mark, and 13 Sudden Surprise. Scratch 1A, 11, 12, and 13 out of the sixth. Seventh race, we have an overweight, number 7, See This Quick, 1 pound over. The eighth race is the Zagora Stakes. And for number 9, Mercilla, she'll be 3 pounds over, and Mercilla will wear a hood again. The ninth race is the Grade 3 Nashua. Scratch number 4, Polar Bear Pete. Scratch the 4, and note that number 5, Independence Hall, did not wear blinkers in his last start, will not be wearing blinkers today. And in today's 10th race, scratch the also eligibles 11 Duncastle through the 14 Black Top Legend. Scratch 11, 12, 13, and 14 out of the 10th. The main track is fast. The turf courses are good. Sunday's opener here at Aqueduct coming up in 25 minutes at 12 noon.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. New members earn up to a $200 deposit match with promo code Big A at NairaBets.com.
Introducing the Cash Card Vending Machine. Fans can purchase preloaded cash cards with cash, debit, or credit at all Naira tracks. Simply select your desired cash card amount, insert your cash or card into the reader, and collect your cash card. Cash cards work at all self-service terminals. No more handling of cash or tickets is required. Change the way you bet.